Don't you love it when you get less for the same amount of money that you're spending on something already, which has already been inflated? We're going to talk about the PS5 digital situation and a discovery that has been made that, oh, there's a lot to say about this. And we're also going to cover some potential big Nintendo Switch 2 games that have not been revealed yet, but could be very soon. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, be sure to like, comment, share, hit the bell as well. Without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. And we're like Charmin Ultra, less is more, because you are spending more on a PS5 digital and now getting less, at least according to Video Games Chronicles. Now, the PS5 digital, of course, has gone up in price, much like the other PlayStation 5 systems, and it seemed like that was kind of going to be the end of it. We saw these prices go up because of a mixture of real-world economic situations, tariffs, potentially greed. Some people think that greed doesn't play a role in it. I definitely do, but your opinion is your opinion, and I'm not going to try and sway you on that. I'm just giving you my opinion. Well, here's where things get very interesting, because according to Bill Kunn, who has been pretty much spot on with a lot of these things, they're doing a change to the storage of the PS5 digital. Now, of course, the PS5 digital is a digital-only system, meaning that you are pretty much tied to the storage that is available on the system unless you want to get an external SSD drive. The current system comes with 1 terabyte of storage, and of course you don't have access to all of that. I think it's around 150 gigs is for like operating system and stuff like that. My numbers could be slightly off on that, but I do know that a portion of it at least is indeed tied up with the operating system of the system, the PlayStation 5 digital. Well, now they're coming with 825 gigabytes of storage, thus diminishing once again the amount of storage you have on hand. I've seen some people say it's about in the upper 600s as far as how much you will actually have access to on the PlayStation 5 digital that does now have a smaller storage capacity. And of course, in typical fashion of the video game industry in 2025, this system will be priced at exactly the same price. Now, this has only been discovered for Europe thus far, but I would not be shocked if this also makes its way overseas. It is going to be 499 euros in order to get this system now that has the same amount of power and capability, just less storage, which of course is 100 euros more than when the system launched back, 4 or 5 years ago, and you're getting less for the system. So not only is there a price increase, but there is a storage shrinkage of this price. And, I get it. Real world economic conditions, real world situations, and, tariffs and this, that, and the other. But you got to imagine at some point in time, you have to kind of look at it and be like, maybe there's something else to this. I'm not saying that greed is 100% a part of the thing, but I definitely do think it plays a somewhat of a role in this because of the fact that you're getting less for your dollar amount, but they're taking away stuff from you and they're charging you the exact same price. That's obviously something that's going to be problematic on an all-digital system because you are restricting the amount of storage that you have on there. Realistically speaking, with these AAA games, that's the size of like 4, maybe 5 games on an all-digital system, and then you're either having to delete stuff off of your system or you're having to buy an external hard drive in order to access these games on there, an SSD hard drive, which, that's not necessarily very cheap. So giving the consumer less, but charging them more. I don't know. That sounds a little bit beyond just real world economic situations. That does sound a little bit like greed to me. And I will be curious to see if this expands into all different regions. I would imagine it would, because they're obviously trying to, squeeze blood out of a rock here with this and trying to get as much money from people while doing the least amount of stuff and doing the least amount of giving them options and giving them, the chance to enjoy their system like people 5 years ago could when the system first came out. Now you're paying a higher price for it, and getting less storage. Let me know in the comments section down below, though. What do you think about this? Do you think this is a wise decision for Sony? Do you think Sony will address it? Because it does seem like this is indeed a reality. And yeah, just very, very interesting to see. You gotta love the video game industry in 2025. Absolute shit show. But moving on from that, we have the potential for 2 big games to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. The first game we're going to talk about is Clair Expedition 30, or Clair Obscur Expedition 33, or as we will call it in the rest of this video, Expedition 33. Now, this was received by people as like the second coming of RPGs, the greatest game of all time. Now, RPG85 did not play this game because he saw that it relies heavily on a parry system, and he kind of gets frustrated at parries. Like, I'm just going to keep a spade here. That's probably why I'm not a big Elden Ring fan. I would rather dodge and stuff like that, but if you dodge in the game, you don't get the parry benefits and stuff like that. But people that have played this game absolutely love it. It's obviously in Game of the Year contender talks as well, and this was essentially a AA game made by a smaller studio of people. You know, roughly 30-ish people is what the rumor is. So to see a high-level quality game come out of such a small studio kind of is like a warning shot to the video game industry. Well, Sandfall Interactive was asked about the potential for a port of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 on the Nintendo Switch 2 and said the following: "We have some opportunities that we will explore, but currently we cannot confirm anything." And to me, this is kind of a no-brainer. Like, when you're talking about stuff like RPGs and stuff like that, Nintendo fans definitely love RPGs. And, you know, when you look at comparatively speaking, and yes, Xenoblade doesn't exactly light the world on fire in terms of overall games. Like, a Xenoblade game isn't going to sell as much as a Mario or a Zelda game, but they sell extremely well for an RPG franchise. And I think companies see that and want to put RPGs on the Nintendo Switch 2. Plus, I mean, it makes sense. You have that portability aspect to it, and that's a great thing for RPGs as far as expanding when you can play the game and how you play the game. So I wouldn't be surprised if we hear about this sooner rather than later, to kind of say, you know, we're exploring options and stuff like that. To me, that's essentially saying, hey, yeah, we're pretty much doing this. I mean, the game does run in the Xbox Series S, so I wouldn't imagine there's going to be like a huge hurdle in order to get it running on the Switch 2. And I hope that Nintendo would possibly assist with the port of this game, like we have seen them potentially do with other stuff. They seemed very hands-on with Cyberpunk 2077. I think this game would be a good game to do something like that as well. And then we have a huge survival horror game potentially coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, and this is coming to us from Dusk Golem. Now, Dusk Golem is a Resident Evil, kind of dabbles in Silent Hill too a little bit, but he's essentially a Resident Evil leaker. Sometimes he's right about stuff, sometimes he's wrong about stuff. You know, your mileage is going to vary with how you feel about his leaks and whatnot. Sometimes I think his leaks are very, you know, just kind of matter of fact, like, oh yeah, they're probably doing a remake of Resident Evil Code Veronica. Like, how many years have we heard that? And it seems like once a year he pops up saying that as well. But Dusk Golem took to Twitter, or X, whatever the hell you want to call it nowadays, and talked about Resident Evil 9. He said the following: "I won't beat around the bush. Resident Evil Requiem, aka 9, should be releasing on PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch 2. Seems this was kind of known behind the scenes and in the grapevine. I'm not the first person to say this publicly, actually, just corroborating. Talked about it with 5 different people in the last few weeks, and know another guy with a good reputation said as much less than a week ago. So, not from me, but I've been hearing the same thing. Unsure if it'll be at launch, and my guess is it'll be a different version with different tech." Now, that's actually very interesting, because I'm not sure how I feel about that. Because I feel like Resident Evil Requiem would just kind of be downscaled if it was planning on coming to the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch 2. But once again, there's going to be an Xbox Series S version of the game. I'm not quite sure that they need to put the game on the PlayStation 4, but I think a Nintendo Switch 2 version of the game would be good. And I get it, there have been some very sketchy ports, but later on today, we're actually going to be talking about a port that surprised the hell out of me. I'm still not a fan of the base game or anything like that, but this port was a lot better than people were saying that it was going to be. And I spent some time with this game, and I was actually somewhat impressed with what they did. So I don't necessarily think the Switch 2 version has to have like different tech. You know, when you look at something like Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 Remake, those came out on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, and those are really good looking games and really well playing games. Resident Evil Village came out on those systems as well, and I mean, you know, they're still really good looking and playing games. So as far as that is concerned, like I said, it was just a guess, but I am interested to see that. Obviously, there was some murmuring about it being a Gamescom and potentially a Switch 2 demo that, of course, fell through. But I do think there is potential for this game to come to the Nintendo Switch 2, along with other Resident Evil games. I'm shocked that like 2, 3, and 4 haven't come over yet. Like, it seems like a no-brainer to me. Like, I'll play through them again because it'd be fun to play it on my Switch 2 and see how they compare to the other versions of the game. So Expedition 33, Resident Evil 9, would these be games you would like to see on the Nintendo Switch 2? Let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share the video around. Like I said, there will be another video up today around 8 p.m. Eastern time talking about a Switch port that, or a Switch 2 port, I should say, that, I mean, it was kind of impressive. It was kind of impressive. I'm still not a fan of the game, but the port isn't bad, dude. Like, the port isn't bad. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.